What happens when Hollywood tries too hard to win gold statues? When studios stack famous faces, choose serious stories, and aim straight at awards season, but audiences just don't show up? Somewhere between prestige and pressure, things collapse. These movies weren't small experiments. They were confident swings, big budgets, big hopes, big disappointment. And once the lights came on, the silence was louder than applause. Stay with me. This list gets uncomfortable fast. Number 15, The Founder, 2016. On paper, this one looks safe. Too safe. A serious historical story, a respected lead actor, a rise and power narrative that feels custom-built for awards voters. Hollywood loves these movies. Or at least it thinks it does. The film tells the story of how a small food business turned into a global empire. It's quiet, controlled, polished. The performance at the center is sharp, restrained, and clearly aiming for prestige recognition. The studio released it late in the year, hoping to slide straight into awards conversations. That was the plan. What actually happened was indifference. Audiences didn't rush in. The box office stayed modest. For a film with this level of marketing, this cast, and this timing, the returns were soft, not disastrous, but deeply disappointing. Worse than losing money, it lost momentum. Awards buzz never caught fire. Critics respected it, but didn't rally behind it. Conversations faded quickly. This is the danger zone for Oscar bait. When a movie feels carefully engineered instead of emotionally urgent, people sense it. They admire it from a distance. Then they move on. The Founder didn't crash loudly. It quietly slipped through the cracks. And sometimes in Hollywood, silence is the harshest verdict of all. Number 14, Genius, 2016. This one screams prestige from every angle. Famous writers, legendary editors, literary ambition, a cast stacked with actors known for serious roles. If there were a checklist for Oscar bait, Genius would hit almost every box. And yet, almost nobody watched it. The film dives into the complicated relationship between a writer and the editor who shaped his work. It's talky, dense, focused on craft and ego rather than drama. That can work if the execution pulls you in. Here, it didn't. Critics called it flat. Audiences stayed away. Despite festival premieres and award season positioning, the movie barely registered at the box office. The numbers were low, painfully low. For a story about literary legends, the irony was sharp. The words were there. The energy wasn't. Awards attention never materialized. No major nominations, no late surge, just a quiet release followed by a fast exit. Genius is a classic case of confusing importance with interest. Hollywood assumed viewers would care because the subject mattered. But relevance doesn't guarantee engagement. You still have to make people feel something. Instead, this movie became homework, and audiences don't buy tickets for homework. Number 13, Mary Queen of Scots, 2018. This one looked unstoppable. Lavish costumes, historical drama, two acclaimed leads facing off across thrones and politics. The kind of movie studios dream about when awards season approaches. And yet, it never found its audience. From the start, expectations were high. The production design was stunning. The performances were serious and intense. The marketing leaned hard into prestige. This wasn't entertainment, it was importance. Or so the studio hoped. But critics were divided. Some praised the visuals, others found the story distant and emotionally stiff. Audiences, meanwhile, just didn't rush in. The box office numbers stayed underwhelming, especially for a film with this scale and promotion. Awards attention came and went quickly. A few technical nods. Nothing major. No acting wins. No lasting impact. For something designed to dominate conversations, it barely started them. This is the problem with historical Oscar bait. If the characters feel more like symbols than people, viewers disconnect. Respect turns into boredom, and boredom kills momentum faster than bad reviews. Mary Queen of Scots didn't fail loudly. It faded, a beautiful production that never became an event. Number 12, The Sun, 2022. When a filmmaker delivers a critically praised award success, expectations for the follow-up skyrocket. The Sun walked into theaters carrying that weight. Same creative team, same serious tone, same emotional ambition. But lightning didn't strike twice. The story tackles family breakdown and emotional distance with heavy seriousness. The performances aim high. The tone is relentless. From the very beginning, it's clear this movie wants to be taken seriously. The problem? Audiences felt overwhelmed, not moved. Critics were mixed. Some praised individual performances. Many found the film exhausting and emotionally cold. Word spread quickly. Viewers stayed away. The box office reflected it. For a movie positioned as a major awards player, the turnout was disappointing. Awards season passed without traction. No surge, no redemption arc. Just another reminder that prestige alone doesn't guarantee connection. Oscar bait often forgets one thing. People don't show up just to be impressed. They show up to be engaged. When a film feels like it's lecturing instead of inviting, viewers push back. The Sun wasn't rejected out of anger. It was rejected out of distance, and that's far harder to recover from. Number 11. Ammonite, 2020. This film arrived with quiet confidence. Limited release. Period setting. 2 respected leads. Early whispers of awards potential filled the air before most people even saw it. Then, almost no one did. Ammonite is slow. Deliberately slow. The story unfolds with minimal dialogue and restrained emotion. That approach can be powerful, but it can also leave audiences feeling shut out, and that's what happened here. Despite early buzz, the film barely made an impact at the box office. Even accounting for changing theater habits at the time, the numbers were tiny. Conversation faded quickly. By the time awards season arrived, the momentum was gone. Critics acknowledged the craftsmanship. They just didn't champion it. Without passionate support, awards campaigns collapse. Studios quietly redirect attention elsewhere. Ammonite became one of those films people mention as beautifully made, and then immediately forget. No lasting quotes, no iconic scenes, no cultural footprint. This is Oscar bait in its most fragile form. When subtlety turns into distance and restraint turns into detachment, audiences drift away. And once that happens, no amount of prestige can pull them back. Number 10. Battle of the Sexes, 2017. This one is fascinating because it almost worked. Critics liked it, audiences respected it, awards voters noticed it, and yet financially, it still stumbled. The film tells the true story of a famous tennis match that became a cultural flashpoint. On paper, it's irresistible. Sports drama, social relevance. 2 major stars at the peak of their awards credibility. The studio clearly believed this was their prestige horse for the season. Reviews were strong. Performances were praised. Golden Globe nominations followed. Everything looked healthy, except the box office. People just didn't show up in large numbers. The theatrical run stayed modest, especially in North America. For a film with this cast, this timing, and this level of marketing, the turnout was underwhelming, and awards campaigns thrive on momentum. Without a strong financial signal, the push softened. When Oscar nominations were announced, the film was missing, completely. No acting nods, no picture mention, nothing. This is a reminder that Oscar bait doesn't fail only when it's bad. Sometimes it fails because it feels too small, too gentle, too polite. When awards seasons are crowded, even good films can be ignored if they don't dominate the conversation. Battle of the Sexes didn't collapse. It quietly slipped off the radar. And in this game, that's enough to end the run. Number 9. 7 Pounds, 2008. This one made money, and still, it belongs on this list. 7 Pounds was engineered to repeat awards success. Same lead actor, same emotional gravity, same slow burn approach designed to pull tears and admiration. The studio expected prestige recognition. Instead, they got pushback. Audiences came early, driven by star power. But the reaction turned quickly. Critics called it manipulative, heavy, overly serious. The tone never let up. And when viewers feel guided instead of moved, resistance kicks in. Awards hopes vanished fast. No major nominations, no late rescue. The conversation shifted from praise to parody. The twist became the focus, and not in a flattering way. Financially, the movie survived. Artistically, it was rejected. That's the key difference. Oscar bait isn't judged only by money. It's judged by whether the industry embraces it. 7 Pounds was quietly shut out. This is what happens when a film tries to force emotional weight instead of earning it. Viewers feel the effort, and when they do, the illusion breaks. 7 Pounds didn't fail at the box office. It failed the test it was built for, and that's why it still stings. Number 8. Collateral Beauty, 2016. This movie didn't just miss the mark, it confused people. The cast alone suggested awards ambition. Multiple respected actors, a holiday release, a story built around grief, healing, and emotional reckoning. The studio positioned it as meaningful cinema. Something serious, something important. Then critics saw it. The response was brutal. Reviewers didn't just dislike it, they rejected it outright. Words like artificial and hollow came up again and again. Audiences followed suit. Despite the star power, the box office stalled. Behind the scenes, production trouble didn't help. A director change late in development is never a good sign. By the time the film reached theaters, it felt patched together. Emotional moments landed awkwardly. The message felt forced. Awards season, non-existent. No nominations, no campaign traction. The only recognition came from the wrong direction, and even that became a punchline. Collateral Beauty is a perfect example of Oscar bait backfiring. When a movie tries to shortcut sincerity, viewers sense it immediately. Big emotions need honest foundations. Without them, even the strongest cast can't save the experience. This wasn't a quiet failure, it was a visible one. Number 7. Concussion, 2015. Everything about this film screamed awards push, serious subject, real-world relevance, a lead performance clearly designed to be noticed. Early buzz suggested nominations were possible. And then, nothing. The movie arrived with expectations and left without momentum. Critics didn't hate it, but they didn't champion it either. Words like restrained and cautious appeared often. The edge people expected never arrived. At the box office, returns were soft, not catastrophic, but disappointing given the scale and promotion. Audiences sensed hesitation. The story felt toned down. Important issues were raised, but without urgency. Awards season passed quietly. One nomination here, silence there, no Oscar traction. The moment slipped away. Concussion shows how Oscar bait can weaken itself by playing it safe. When a film pulls its punches, it loses impact. Viewers want conviction. They want clarity. Instead, this movie landed somewhere in the middle. Respectable, forgettable, and in a crowded awards year, that's a losing position. Number 6. Free State of Jones, 2016. This one should have worked. A major star fresh off awards success, a historical rebellion story, a large budget, serious themes, everything pointed toward prestige recognition. Instead, audiences stayed home. The film struggled from the start. Released in summer, far from traditional awards timing, it never felt like an event. Reviews were mixed. Some praised ambition, others criticized pacing and focus. The box office was the real blow. The numbers were low, painfully low. For a film this expensive, the returns were alarming. Awards hopes evaporated quickly. No major nominations, no late-season revival, just a long, slow fade. Free State of Jones highlights a recurring mistake. Length and seriousness don't equal importance. If the story doesn't grip viewers, scale becomes a liability instead of an asset. This wasn't rejected because it was controversial. It was rejected because it felt distant, and distance is deadly for Oscar bait. Number 5. Grace of Monaco, 2014. This was supposed to be elegant prestige cinema, a glamorous royal story, a respected lead actress, a major film festival launch. Everything pointed toward award season attention. Instead, it unraveled in public. From its first screening, the reaction was rough. Critics didn't just dislike it. They questioned its purpose. The story was accused of bending history for drama, and not in a clever way. The tone felt glossy but empty. That's a dangerous combination for Oscar bait. Behind the scenes, things were worse. Creative disagreements delayed releases. Marketing stalled. The awards campaign collapsed before it even started. In some regions, the film barely received a theatrical push at all. At the box office, returns were weak. For a film built on prestige appeal and star power, the numbers were disappointing. Award season came and went with almost no mention. Grace of Monaco is a textbook example of how fast confidence can evaporate. Once a movie loses critical trust, studios retreat, campaigns vanish, silence follows. This wasn't a quiet miss, it was a visible stumble. A reminder that elegance alone doesn't earn respect. Substance still matters. Number 4. The Current War, 2017. This one didn't just struggle. It was delayed, reshaped, and nearly buried. The story had everything awards voters usually love: brilliant historical figures, industrial ambition, prestige performances, even a respected producer backing the project. Early buzz suggested a strong awards run. Then the first cut premiered, and the response was cold. Reviews were harsh. Confusion surrounded the final version. Release plans were scrapped. The movie disappeared for a while, then returned in a revised form. By then, momentum was gone. When it finally reached theaters, the box office was weak. Awards season had moved on. Viewers had moved on. Despite improved edits, the damage was already done. This is Oscar bait at its most fragile. When internal confidence breaks, everything collapses. Campaigns rely on belief. Once that belief is shaken, no re-edit can restore it. The Current War didn't fail because the idea was wrong. It failed because timing, control, and clarity slipped away. And in award season, hesitation is fatal. Number 3. All the King's Men, 2006. This one hurts because it looked bulletproof. A Pulitzer-winning story, a legendary cast, a large budget, political relevance. The studio expected awards. What they got was rejection. Test screenings raised alarms. The release was delayed. Confidence faded. Critics were harsh. The story felt scattered. The tone felt confused. When it finally arrived, audiences ignored it. The box office numbers were shockingly low. For a film with this much prestige behind it, the turnout was embarrassing. Awards season passed with barely a whisper. Behind the scenes, editing struggles and creative uncertainty plagued the production. Multiple versions circulated. Nothing clicked. All the King's Men is proof that prestige ingredients don't guarantee prestige results. If the storytelling collapses, everything else follows. This wasn't a minor disappointment. It was one of the most dramatic prestige failures of its decade. Number 2. The Goldfinch, 2019. This was supposed to be a sure thing. A celebrated novel, a serious director, carefully chosen cast, film festival positioning. The studio expected awards attention. What they got was immediate rejection. Early reviews were brutal. Critics didn't just criticize execution, they questioned the adaptation entirely. Awards hopes collapsed instantly. The campaign was quietly abandoned. At the box office, the numbers were devastating. For a film with this budget and ambition, the returns were shockingly low. Audiences stayed away. Conversation vanished. Even supporters of the source material distanced themselves from the final product. The Goldfinch is modern Oscar bait failure at its purest. All the signals were there. All the confidence was there. And then reality hit. This wasn't a slow fade, it was a collapse. Number 1. Bonfire of the Vanities, 1990. This is the original cautionary tale. Big stars, a best-selling novel, a respected director, a massive budget. Awards expectations were sky-high. What followed became legendary. Creative chaos, studio interference, casting conflicts, endless reworking. By the time the film reached theaters, it was broken. Critics were ruthless. Audiences rejected it. The box office returns were disastrous. Awards season was never even a possibility. Bonfire of the Vanities didn't just fail. It became a lesson, an industry-wide warning about arrogance, excess, and ignoring warning signs. Decades later, it's still referenced when Oscar bait goes wrong. When prestige turns into pressure and confidence turns into denial, this is what happens. So next time a movie arrives wrapped in seriousness, prestige, and awards ambition, ask yourself one thing. Is it confident or is it desperate? Because when Hollywood chases trophies instead of truth, the audience notices, and they respond with silence. Which of these surprised you most? Drop a comment, share your pick, and subscribe for more deep dives into cinema's biggest miscalculations. Because sometimes the biggest losses aren't measured in money, but in missed chances.